Yeah. No, you want to be here at home. Not a club. All right, call this meeting of the Historic District Commission to order at 7:02 p.m. Need to waive the hearing procedures. There's no one here. Matters. I guess we'll jump right to all the communications. Besides this,
Tom's report. And basically I corrected him on the first one, because I guess she is under the impression that she didn't have to come back in here. And so I reiterated to him, like, no, I said she's got a deadline of the February 11th meeting or whatever we have for that date. Correct.
We set a deadline.
Yeah, right. And that's what I said, make sure she knows about that she has still that deadline to come in with a game plan. So
what was the deadline?
the first meeting
of February for Mr. Ferguson.
All right.
Since you and Todd weren't here, I was thinking it might be a good idea to talk about that again.
Sure.
Catch you up.
So, pardon me?
To catch them up.
Yeah, to catch you up, and I think you might also have an opportunity to comment on the situation.
Sure. You want to take the lead?
Yeah, since I'm new at this, I don't know, don't you make a motion? Because it is a motion already, I'm thinking. I'd like to reconsider the motion.
No, it's
Public
the
communications.
public communication.
Talk about it.
It's a discussion.
Okay. Well, was brought up was to have her come and report to the commission what her plans are, right? And you guys are familiar with this situation, right? There's a chain link fence.
Oh, yeah, we don't need to go through that.
Well,
I mean, we're up to speed on that.
yeah, okay. Well, I've got a couple thoughts about it. One is that she's built the fence. The fence is built with the materials, the location, and the dimensions that were approved by you, and Mr. Levinson. So, and during the video, there's clearly a discussion of the fence and its visibility. So I'll stop there and say it's complicated and go to the next point, which is, I don't think we should be interfering with this because there's a procedure in the handbook for people that are aggrieved by the decision. And it says they are not to come to us. We're not the aggrieving adjudicating body. So I think we're just making it worse. I think we're putting ourselves in an awkward position that we don't, it's not our job to make these neighbors work it out. And I think by interfering, we're doing a couple things I think that are really unfair. We're hassling. I think we're straight out hassling the applicant that she got approval. She built what she said she was going to build. She went through the process and now it's being revisited in a way that I think is unfair to her. She's worried about it and concerned about it and getting requests to spend more money to fix it. And then my question would be, she's going to come and talk to us apparently to try to fix it. And when she does, how much does she fix it? Is it up to us to say it's suitable? Or is it up to the complaining neighbor to say that it's suitable? Who's going to judge the suitability of the chain link fence? Because
Are you
it's
suggesting that
visible.
you let this go, make the complaining party bring a lawsuit and Superior Court?
No, it's.
Well, yeah, that's what the
Wait.
handbook says.
They can't though. So they have the statutory time period to bring an appeal. That's already long expired. They can't do anything. The neighbor can't do anything.
Okay.
At this point. But I do remember vividly, I know there was discussion in that meeting, but I do remember specifically talking about it not being visible.
Sure.
And it is visible.
She said it in the thing, right? She said it wasn't visible.
And it is.
And it is visible.
But we all knew it was visible because we also pointed out where it was most visible and where she needed to put more picket. And if she did that, it would be okay.
But she didn't do that.
She did. She amended her original design to put in more picket going backwards. And by the way, you can go and look and see the whole fence from the road. So
Right.
if somebody keeps saying from certain roads, you can see everything.
Well,
So why is there any fence there? A fence is a visible thing. It's visible.
'Cause I think
We
when
knew it
she,
was visible. Can we say now we didn't think it was?
when she
visible?
showed the picture.
No, we did not think it was visible.
We did not think it was
Yeah.
visible.
Well,
Because
then
we were
I think
looking
we
at
made a
it from the
mistake.
wrong
If you
road.
Look at the video
We made a
again.
mistake and now we're trying to redress it in any way that we can.
May I say something, Ted? If you watch the April 18th.
I've watched all the
Hang on.
videos.
As you could watch the April 18th meeting where Sarah Moriarty, our chair at the time, it was a training with Rich Cody.
Yes.
Sarah actually says on the record, she felt that the applicant had, what was the word, misled or I'd have to get to the exact words, but I think Sarah said that it was the first time on the commission, she felt the applicant had misled the commission, and you can't reward misleading us.
You know, she did or she didn't.
Well, she also, and you said on video too, that, she didn't intend to mislead us.
Just give me a minute,
Just-
because I remember this. So, and she's my neighbor too, so I do
Right.
feel for her, and the guy working for her works for me, so
Right.
I'm trying to do the best I can, but if this is her house from Orchard Lane, and
Yes,
this is New London Road over here,
yes,
all the way over here,
yeah,
this is the fence.
yes.
Don, I remember asking for more pictures from this direction because he was concerned about this section. This section back here, whether or not you can see it, you can barely see it. It was this section here, which abuts that blue house, which is here, that everyone was asking about. Can you see it? Can you not see it? And she did explain that it wouldn't be visible.
Well, we've got a whole video to go look at, and you guys made her extend the fence down to a shed and a property toward New London Road, and she did that. Now, it turns out when it's height, it's visible over the stone wall, but nobody was asking about that. And by the way, there was already a chain link fence on the property in the back. The neighbors, not her fence, the neighbors own a chain link fence behind her, which motivated her to put it up. It was all in the video. I just watched all the videos over again.
But I think that back chain link fence is not visible, so it's not.
No, you can see it. You can see everything
Well, who knows?
if you want to see it. So now we're going to parse what's visible.
Right.
The story.
So I'll be honest, my decision was based on the presentation from Orchard Lane. I'm just gonna be very transparent. So according to her, it was gonna be visible from this point from
Right.
Orchard Lane. I did not think to look
Right.
at it until John brought it up and the other neighbor brought it to look at it from New London Road. And I think
Well,
that's,
not only can you see the near fence that's right in back of the woman that's complaining, but you can look through and see the fence on the other side. and she went all the way down.
Yeah,
You can also look at it from Orchard Lane, Eric, and you can see the whole fence.
I know, but
I mean, it's not, they've got some picket in front. So anyway, there's a degree of visibility is going to be the argument. And
I guess,
I think both sides have a point, and I don't know why we're mucking around with it, because I think we're just making it worse. I think two things. We should, one, not talk to anybody about this without telling the attorney, our attorney, to have them advise and consent that we're doing something okay, because I think we're putting the commission, the town, and ourselves at risk. And if that's good, I'm good with that. And if we're doing the right thing, the attorney will say, you're doing the right thing. Go press on.
Which is what he said in the first place, is that they exhausted their timeline for appeal. They didn't appeal when there was a time to appeal.
the neighbor did.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's the process.
That's the process.
So I think it's over. We should keep our hands out of it. Then if we don't want to do that, my second proposal would be, let's just drop it.
I'd say it's a good way to use it as an educational tool and never.
Yeah, and be way more careful, way more careful with chain link fences. But because the other thing I worry about, if we approve anything, and then later, the commissioners that follow us, like me, I might get a lot more ornery about what we need to approve. And is it ever fair for us to go back, reopen a case and say you need to move that thing because we don't like that you put in siding?
We're not saying we don't like it, we're just saying that
It was misrepresented.
it was told that it was not gonna be visible and it is visible.
Ah,
And
but
I
I think that's the nut. Everything's visible.
and I agree with that, because, but I think there's,
Degrees
you
of
have to take a
visibility.
reasonableness, because
I know,
otherwise,
and that's what we're supposed to do, is say it
If
was
you-
reasonable.
if you cut down all the trees behind my house, all the way down to
Right,
156 or whatever that is, 116, you
right.
could see your house, my house, you could see everything.
Yep,
You could see every house from every angle, from everything, if there was no
yep,
vegetation.
I understand.
But I think, stuff buried in the back like this, stuff like this, I mean, so, yeah. Thing there,
Well, I think clearly you guys thought that it would be less visible than it is. I get it, but it didn't turn out to be that way. And so why are we? We feel bad. The neighbor's got a point about the fence is kind of in her face. But I think personally, I think we're just making it worse. If I wanted to be very official about it, I'd want to say, I want to make a motion that we leave it alone, or that we have the town attorney advise us and before we take any action on this, because I think we're walking into a trap.
Which he did already.
So we can just reiterate. We gave.
Yeah, and if the attorney's saying don't contact her, well, I don't know why we're
He didn't
contacting.
say don't contact her, just that the appeal procedure for the neighbor was exhausted.
Well, is he
And-
aware that we're continuing to push this?
And this commission we do have the ability to enforce things. So
Okay, let's go down that road. What are we enforcing?
the rules, it says no chain link fence, it's not visible from the public way. It's pretty cut and dry the way I look at it, Ted,
So that means take out the whole fence.
or come up with a way to hide it.
All right, I think it's unreasonable. I think that's for the courts to figure out and not us.
Technically, it's like funny because if a chain link fence is not visible from a public way, it doesn't require coming to this commission anyway.
But the handbook
So you
clearly,
probably should never even approve any chain link.
right,
It's
exactly.
And we never
It
have.
says that and we approve
Yeah,
it. And
No, yeah, not since I've been on it.
you
And,
can prove by looking at the videos that all the commissioners knew it was visible.
and Ted, in all fairness, that's why on the last vote, and I felt for the guy, his wife was in the hospital. I wasn't trying to be a jerk.
Yeah.
That's why I was a stickler to the rules. And I would say, let me finish, please. I don't cut you off. If you want to take that point of view, then you got to take the point of view to follow the rules, because that's my point. We've been burned by, we want to be nice guys. We want to make it easy. You know, now we've got a whole other stage of the business that, and no offense to Rich, the town attorney says something else. I run it against other attorneys and they say he's wrong. And that's how attorneys make their living, by arguing. We didn't, if everybody knew what the law was straight up, we wouldn't have courts, we'd have attorneys. So let's be clear on that. So the point is then if that's the way you want to look at it, then I think I gotta expect from here on out, when that handbook says you need X, Y, and Z in every application, we have to maintain it. Because you can't have your cake
Hold
and
on,
eat it too. You can't say we're gonna waive all these rules, but then we're gonna follow these rules. There's
We're
got.
not waiving any rules. What rule did we waive with the presentation on the stone wall? We've had video Zoom presentations of applications.
Okay.
We sat in many of them. What process didn't we follow?
He didn't have it. He was in his car. He couldn't do it.
Other people have done it via Zoom. He was
Yeah.
doing it through Zoom.
Not presenting the materials through Zoom, he wasn't.
He talked us through it.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's my opinion. You're entitled to yours and I'm to mine.
Tangent, did he talk you through? Did he show you the pictures?
We had the package.
Yeah, you had
He was at the hospital with his wife. He was on the phone. He answered all our questions. He'd gone through the pre-app with you the 2 weeks before that pretty completely. She did, actually.
You're just not supposed to consider it.
So we knew what he was doing and and the package was very complete and he presented it. He was.
Okay, but then somebody could say, we knew what she was doing with the fence and now it's a problem.
Look, if you're at the hospital with his wife, he should have been at the hospital with his wife, not on an HTC of all things.
Yeah.
Meeting like that.
Yeah.
The guy should have just come back and presented again. I wasn't even here.
And
That's
again, not to sound callous, but these homes, these buildings have been around for 100, 200 years. 2 weeks ain't gonna kill anybody. If you gotta wait another 2 weeks on the overall scheme of things,
I understand.
it's not gonna kill anybody. It's not gonna make them go bankrupt. Their house is gonna fall apart.
I would agree with that in most situations, except that gentleman did come to a pre-application hearing and presented everything exactly as it was there. So you already saw the whole presentation and then.
I agree. And on the record, I've told this, I'm a huge fan of what they're doing. I love everything they're doing with that house. I think they're excellent owners and I think they're a gold standard to the historic district. It's not about that, but here we are. Now, we didn't, we made an exception on chain link fence. We weren't clear. Now we've said, okay, it's a enforcement action. Now we've got to saying it's not an enforcement action.
I think what you're trying to do, which is really frustrating for this whole commission, or at least I see as frustrating, is that he's trying to enforce it equally, period. Follow the rules, make everyone's presented the right way or whatever. And sometimes we get into these things where we allow other people to do things and not do things. And you guys, even from a staff point of view, you choose to enforce things that you want to enforce, not other things. I mean, we brought up the steps getting ripped out of the Emporium. I don't know how many times, and that just went away. Don't worry about it. It's Dan Miser. Don't worry. No big deal. Like, it's just, that's BS, I think. That's a tangent, but I think you're right. I think you're trying to enforce it equally, and I think that she did come, she presented it, she said it wasn't gonna be visible. Sure, the neighbors thing is exhausted, but the reality is it is visible. It wasn't supposed to be, and it is. So figure out a way to make it not visible.
I'm
That's
okay
all.
with that if we want to do that, but then it has to be, I want it to
But she
be,
can't.
but we need to be the deciders on what's visible, not neighbors. We're the commission,
But
not the neighbors.
It is clearly visible once it was pointed out. Yes, I drove by that house every day. I never realized it.
Yeah.
But once it was pointed out, it's visible.
It's a degree of how visible you think is a problem. And that's up to the judgment of this commission.
Well, then, what do you think it's visible or not?
Clearly it's visible.
Meet.
Do you think it's visible enough and you want to pursue it?
No, I don't want to pursue it.
No,
I'm looking at me.
Yeah. Oh, no, but we'll go down.
I think
I think,
we're in a bad position.
I mean. I hear everything you're saying but I also am with John to a certain degree. I just would love. If she can come back with, I just would love to see her attempt to remedy the situation. And whatever she comes with, I'm probably gonna just agree with, because I'm at a point where. I don't wanna piss over this concept, this isn't the contest I wanna get into. There's bigger, more important things. For example, what you just said, the steps at the important. Those are things I'd rather die on a hill for than this chain link fence. But I don't disagree that there was, and I already said it earlier, I was only given, in my memory of the situation with her presentation, I only saw her presented from Orchard Lane. And that's why, since that, and this is where I go with you, I've learned from that. And if you see in other presentations, I say, can you show us the perspective? There was the guy whose garage burned down, and and the architect showed us from back of the library. I think it's Elm Street and Library Street, and like all the different angles, and it was perfect. And I was very appreciative because I learned from the chain link fence to ask that question. So I'm willing to let her try and remedy it one more time. And then afterwards, so be it. But live and learn. And that's why I ask certain questions moving forward.
That's reasonable.
That's my response to your, I know it's long-winded, but I'm a history teacher, so I do.
Well, I think it's reasonable if she wants to come and give some, I think we're penalizing her, but okay, if you guys all want to penalize her, I'm on the board, I'm like, all right. But then my mind goes to, and Eric, you've talked about creative ways she can try to hide some of the fence. But say she does that, what stops another neighbor or the same neighbor from later saying, well, I can still see some more fence? How come this doesn't go on until the whole fence goes away?
Because this whole thing here, all this chain link, we've
Yeah.
approved.
You
No one
see it,
can,
though.
doesn't matter. No one can do anything about it. All the argument that's being made here.
Yeah.
Is that it was presented that it wasn't gonna be visible for this section, and it is visible.
It's just that section.
It's just this section. So
She-
no one.
no,
can
she
come-
changed the picket. Go watch the video. She changed, we made her
Right,
put picket
right,
and she,
because we didn't want to see it,
right.
right, but,
She didn't talk about whatever
can
that
still-
direction is down.
right, she wasn't in the shed. Look, I know that property very well. 'cause like I
Me
said,
too.
But
I've looked at
it was not
50 times.
clear to anyone, including myself, I think, that
We
it was
just
gonna be
did comment.
visible in this area.
Right. I agree.
And she said that it wasn't going to be. So
Right.
otherwise, we would have just said in the hearing, make this picket fence from here all the way to here, and
Right,
Whatever.
I understand.
never had any problem approving this. So no one can come back and say you couldn't put this in here. It was just the neighbors saying, she said it wasn't gonna be visible. You guys said it wasn't gonna be visible, and then it was visible.
Well, back to that visibility question though, because you can see you can see other parts of the fence.
But it doesn't matter though, because we approved it.
Okay, well, we approved the part that's visible too. If you're on her side. Not, I'm saying,
No,
I'm saying.
I am.
Her lawyers would say, hey, wait a minute, I built exactly what you approved. So I don't know what you're enforcing. My COA says I could build all this and I built it.
Actually, the COA does say not visible if you read the COA. So it's not even in compliance with the COA.
All the materials, dimension, location.
If we're gonna, if you want to take the legal, and I'm not a lawyer, I think we have two retired or non-practicing lawyers here. If
Right,
you want
so-
to by the letter what the COA says, it does not. This
It doesn't
violates
say
the COA.
It doesn't say that. What you're saying, and I understand what you're saying, because she was answering the question, she answered the question. Levinson asked her, can you see it from the street? She said, no. There you go. Now, you could say, how much did she mean? How much was the no not really visible, not much visible, not hardly visible?
She said it wasn't visible, Ted.
It was
I
not.
She
understand.
didn't say it
So,
wasn't.
so
partially
let's say we have this whole
visible.
thing.
I really, all right,
Let's just say, just as an example, let's say she said you can hardly see it. Or of course it's
she
visible.
didn't
It's a
say you can
fence.
hardly see it. She said
It's
you
a
can't
fence.
see
It's
it.
an above ground
Yeah, she
fence.
said you can't see it. Let's not speculate on what she might have said. And I think
I-
Eric has explained it. The only issue of contention is that area right there. Whether the rest of it's visible or not, doesn't really matter because we approved it. And I'm not sure that I see this huge potential disaster that's gonna befall us if we try to work this out in a meaningful way, as opposed to making someone, well, they can't go to court, I guess, at this point. But I just think it's the right thing.
Court, can't they?
Yeah, but no one has.
Okay, so then let it lie. Why are we trying to fix it? What's our motivation here?
Because we were under the impression it wasn't visible, and we'd like to address that.
We were under the impression it wasn't gonna be visible as it is. We were wrong. It's more visible than we thought. Okay,
Right, so we'd like to
we have to
address
be
that.
more careful going forward.
Right,
Addressing it is putting a burden on the applicant that's unfair.
In your opinion,
And
In
you're-
somebody's, in her opinion, I think.
in her opinion as well, I'm sure.
So.
right, but I
I
don't
mean,
think, I don't think
if
that
the
that makes,
complainer wanted to fix it, she can throw some money at it and fix it.
But it's not up to the complainer.
Why is it up to the owner who did everything according to the process?
because she
didn't. You're not
because she
listening.
She's saying
misrepresented,
I don't think she did.
she misrepresented whether it
That's-
was visible.
You're saying she did.
Yeah, I'm
No.
saying. she-
All of us,
We're telling
all
you
of us.
that she did.
Yeah.
Okay.
We made the decision based upon the fact that it was not going to be visible in that section and
Yeah.
that section alone.
It's just.
I'll be honest with you, I was actually all for letting this go. At this point now, though, I'm sorry, but she needs to fix it. She needs to come up with a
Good luck.
solution. She needs to make a fix.
I would encourage, since it says right there, chain link fences are not appropriate. I would never approve another one.
No.
Right, because they're always gonna be visible. So I think that's self-evident. That's why I think we're stepping in a bear trap, because it's obvious that any chain link fence we would approve is visible. So
But what are you afraid of? I mean, what's she gonna do? What is anyone gonna do? She's gonna bring an expensive case of litigation against the town or against the board to claim
gonna
what?
happen.
To claim what?
the
What's the
applicant,
complaint?
which
Yeah,
one?
what would be the
It'll cost
homeowner?
more to
What's she gonna bring?
fix the
The
fence.
applicant, I guess, cannot do anything.
No, I mean, you're
What goes
saying,
wrong with the applicant if she doesn't do anything?
you're saying that she's putting. That we are putting the town at risk for litigation
Yeah.
from her.
Right, what would the litigation be?
Yeah,
We're bullying
it's not a complaint.
no, we're asking her to come here and.
It's not a complaint.
So
You
what,
can't
We're
file-
asking her to come and fix
There's
something.
no damages. You can't file a lawsuit. There's no damages. She can't file.
She's not being harassed,
No, how's she being harassed?
by being asked to come and talk to us about something that she hasn't done anything wrong.
She doesn't have to show up.
She gets to worry, okay, then what happens to her if she doesn't show up?
Then they can bring an enforcement action if they want to do it or not.
To enforce what?
To enforce the fact that it was supposed to be not visible and it is visible.
And how much can she fix it? Who's gonna decide how much?
Here's the
fix
point.
to fix?
If she doesn't come with a legitimate,
Can she just ignore us and then what happens?
then the town would bring an enforcement action against her. And she's got to get her own attorney and fight the town. The town's going to bring the best case possible. That's it. But she can't sue the town to claim that we're harassing her. We're not. We're saying it wasn't in compliance. That's it. No one's putting a big billboard in front of her house. No one's out there picketing. No one's like, calling her names. No one's assaulting her.
quite the opposite. I actually went to her house to walk it at her request with her on my own time. I mean, we're trying to.
Afraid of getting sued, but the reality is, it is still hard to sue people. It is like, it is hard to bring a legitimate case.
Legitimate.
Yeah, anyone can file a complaint.
Right.
Sure, but it's gonna get tossed out like that with the motion dismissed. So she can't, look, I think she should fix the problem. There was a representation made that it wasn't gonna be visible. The neighbor's upset about it. Whatever, it wasn't supposed to be visible, it's visible. All we're saying is like, come up with a solution, just like the guy with the driveway. Let's figure out a way to like make it work, and let her come up with some things. If she doesn't want to do that, then she doesn't have to show up. She doesn't have to do anything. And then we can make a decision whether we want to enforce it. If we enforce it, then your merry band of Groton attorneys can go do whatever they decide to do with it at that point. Like, I don't know, really. Really.
I
Let
decided
them-
to image Rich
let-
Cody with.
yeah, he can pull out his old book and figure out what complaint he's gonna make. I don't know, if anything.
Right.
Maybe he's gonna say there's no case. I don't know.
Yeah.
He could.
Right.
Let him deal with it, though. We're saying it was supposed to not be visible. It is visible. We're trying to come up with a solution, let her fix it. The reality is she lives in a historic district. If she was a good neighbor and wanted to respect the rules, if it was my position, I'd just rip the thing out and just redo it. Your neighbor's ticked off, rip out the 10 sections of fence or whatever. I don't know. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, but I don't think we're stepping into a quagmire here.
No, far from it.
At all.
I don't.
I really don't.
Far from it.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should be afraid either to enforce stuff because we're gonna supposedly get sued. We're not.
Right.
Unless we're doing something malicious or something with like ill intent or something that's gonna cost someone where they have legitimate damages to bring a case. But otherwise, like, I'm gonna sue you because you made fun of me. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, she's not a Gen Zer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read that article in the Wall Street Journal?
No,
We're all doomed.
Yep.
Did you read that
today,
article? Maybe 2 days, 3 days.
I'll have to look it up.
Read it.
But that being all said, though, I think that we need to give her the opportunity to come until then. And if that's the end of it, that's the end of it. If she doesn't show up and you want to press it off and pass it off to have someone do an enforcement action, then if you don't, drop it at that point.
Yeah, I agree.
And in the future, we just learn from.
I agree. And it gets back to what I said. That's why you guys see me being very, maybe if I could word too by the book. It's just we've been burned too many times trying to be helpful. And so the situation we're dealing with where, oh, they did the thing, they didn't do the thing. I just think for our peace of mind, for the applicant and for the neighbors, if the book says follow, we follow it. And we've talked about changing the book. Let's get the book changed this year. And let's just all to bed.
And I think I agree with you that there are situations where a guy's on the phone, but he did present it, whatever. It's just easier just to say, unless there's some like real urgency. Just come back in 2 weeks.
What did this happen last meeting?
Yeah, so it's the house that's on High Street, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I abstained from the vote. I was at the emergency room with his wife and he couldn't present. And I said, hey, the handbook says you got to do it this way. And like I said, I'm on the record. I love what they're doing at the house. They're doing a great job. They're awesome. I just,
Which house is this? The
Corner of High Street and New London Road.
Yeah.
You're the one that-
With the 3 garages, you talked about.
the one
windows.
right up.
I just, guys,
The little windows get painted finally.
for me, you can tell me if you think I'm ridiculous. Until we get a change, I just want to be by the book. That way we don't have.
What was he
any-
trying to do?
He couldn't present because he was at the hospital.
But they had been to a meeting more recently, right?
Yeah.
He came to put in a retaining wall, but
Oh, right.
He was close to
Okay.
not even needing to come to you.
He was.
Yeah, I mean, he was on the cusp of 30 inches or.
As like I said, I just figure if we're by the book, then
he didn't really need
So
to
you could have
come.
built to 29 inches and come back in 2 weeks and built the extra 2 inches, whatever. That's what I'm just saying. Tell the guy to come back.
I just think moving forward, if we just stick to the book, we don't get into this.
Or you bring some mulch in front. You know,
What's the old saying? The road to hell.
Raise the
paved-
grade.
paved
Exactly, yeah,
in
bring it up a
sections,
couple.
Right?
We had more complaints against as a commission from the public to other public members, not publicly so much. Because things were enforced in just kind of this like willy-nilly way.
Mhm.
Specifically, like, certain people's clients seem to get preferential treatment, so. I think we're trying to avoid that and just make it more equal going forward, so. That's it. I'm done.
I mean, and honestly, my last comment, I think the public, it shouldn't matter if I'm sitting, you're sitting. Whoever, they should have a pretty good idea walking in. That if I do A, B, C, and D, the result will be F. And I think. Let's say in the past, that hasn't been the case. It's been, oh, if it's this person, I'll get it. If it's this person, I won't. And I don't think I agree with Eric. I think it's got to be where anybody that's watched 1 or 2 meetings is going to know if I follow the rules, whether it's John or Ted or we're alternate or whatever, that the votes, you got a pretty good idea how the vote's going to come out. I think that's what we need to strive for as a board.
All right. 39 Pear Street.
Yeah, he spelled it pear.
I made that comment last time, remember?
No, that's it, John. He's supposed to pick that up.
I know, I made that comment.
Well,
All right, so 39 Pearl Street, so they're gonna send.
we
another
passed the
notice.
minutes part, didn't we? Or did we?
No, we're just still communicating.
Okay, we're solutions there. All
My favorite part
right.
is
Still to come.
then.
We call it the TED section.
Or Rachel, you reached out to come out.
They were actually planning to be good. So I don't know what happened.
Is anyone online? Like,
I think Perry might be coming in. I don't know. It is gonna be Mark. It's either Mark or Perry. We're gonna come in.
and is anybody in the waiting? Like, obviously, there's no one.
I didn't see, it was just Linda and myself.
Anybody.
It's 3.
Town of Groton, Town of Groton.
Oh, yeah.
Hands up. I saw a hand up. Hang on.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, just for I-Corps?
All right, she got her hand up. I don't know if you wanna, give her. Oh, Lucas.
I haven't read the article, but I could just imagine.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Here.
Yes, we can.
Hi, how are you, gentlemen? Good evening. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
Yeah, I'm here representing I-Corps Building and Remodeling, just on the case for 22 New London Road in regards to replacement windows.
Pre-app.
Is it a pre-app?
The owner, Kenny Ritter, had asked me to step in for him last minute, so I am under the impression that he was working with, I think it was Linda, to have all of the applications in place and had me attend the meeting.
Hi,
We don't
I'll
have
just,
anything.
I'll just jump in real quick. This is a pre-application. They'd like to be on the next agenda. We have a short week and they really need to get their application into me. They hadn't been before you before and had some questions at the counter this afternoon about the type of windows that would be approved or could be approved, or, you know, what they want to present. So my recommendation was a pre-app, just to get some feedback from you folks.
Thank you for
Okay.
doing that, by the way.
We'll just step back and go to pre-apps, whatever.
Yes.
Okay, what are your questions?
I guess I could just explain to you what we're attempting to do to make sure that this meets the needs of the Historic Commission, and that is basically it's just a replacement window. 2 sashes are going to go in, 2 sashes are going to come out. We're going to remove storm windows that are on the building or on the structure. We will not be affecting siding, nor will we be affecting trim. And the grill pattern, there isn't any, so it'll be all remaining the same even with color.
What are you using for a replacement?
The 400 series from Anderson, it's a wood product. It's gonna be white painted pine on the interior and it's white on the exterior.
Questions?
And they're 1/1s.
Yes, sir.
Well, if that, I would just say, if that's the window you're putting in and they're basically the same size, obviously they must be, if you're not adjusting anything else as the existing windows, I don't think that should be an issue, but you're gonna have to, come in with photographs of the house from all angles, the specs on the window. And just a brief description of what you're gonna do, and which, you're replacing all the windows?
The majority, there's a few that will not be replaced. They'll stay. They're fixed picture windows.
All right, so you basically want to identify on what you submit, which windows you're replacing.
Okay.
And and the sheet that Linda may or may not have provided you or the owner, pretty much details what you have to give us for documentation.
Okay, great. And again, I apologize for my ignorance. I'm just stepping in last minute, so I appreciate the assistance.
It's not a problem. It's not a problem.
That's why we're here to help you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, do you want to move on to approval of minutes? Or do you want to make some changes?
Are we done? Just to,
Unless you have any-
we're closed up with the chain link conversation.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. All right. We did roll call, we did pre-apps. That was public. And now we're doing minutes.
Yeah.
Just to make sure.
There's one sentence on page 2 that, I don't know, Linda's can follow this, but the write-up on Ernst explained that he and his wife, Paige Coolrick, the owners 151 High Street, blah, blah, blah. The next sentence, I think, doesn't make sense. It reads, as they currently reside in the house and are proposing to add a small gray change wall between the level of the garage and the house. And I assume it meant small gray, either stone wall or retaining wall. Unless there is such a thing as a change wall that I'm not aware of. So Linda, you can fix that any way you like. And I think we should approve the minutes as amended.
Isn't there another thing to the sign on the minutes?
That was in the previous
Got it.
meetings minutes, which we approved as amended, which brought up another question I was talking with Peter about before he came in that or Linda can answer if she wants to pipe in. We in the previous time that I got nitpicky about the minutes, I wanted to strike the sentence about the sign on the wall. And it's still in the minutes for that meeting. I don't know when they get amended, I guess is what I'm asking Linda. And then I'm also realizing that maybe the minutes aren't so important, so I maybe should relax my vigilance here, and if that's
Their official
as
document.
the group is, I'm happy to do that too.
Well,
Because it's not
well,
actually
okay,
amended,
I-
it's like a
I will
pointless
chime in
exercise.
for a minute.
Yeah, please.
I did make the change to the minutes. I don't know why they're not updated, so I'm not sure where you're seeing that, but I did go in
Well,
and check that
Yeah,
out.
well,
And the
what I'm
minutes
speaking
are
about
important.
is because when I know, and I think you do a fantastic job considering how we ramble around. It'd be fun to see how you do with the discussion we just had. But just before I came to this one, I wanted to see if the correction was in the minute package. So I don't know where they show up necessarily, but I was looking at last meeting's agenda package, last meeting's meeting package, the December 20th meeting package. And those have the minutes in them that I asked to be corrected, and they still look.
The signed ones
Still
that
look wrong.
are filed, so check.
So what I'm thinking is you correct them and put them in the town files, but I'm curious how the public could see it. That's what I'm just asking
Oh, really?
about.
So this is historically the way it has been. We used to do things very differently pre-COVID. And then we
Yeah, it's removed from here, so that's, sorry.
So that's,
Sorry, I was just looking at the minutes
Yeah.
that Peter just passed me. I guess they're now the official minutes. They are correct.
So what will happen is those minutes that Todd signed will go to the town clerk. And she'll file them, and those are the official minutes. The
So
package,
it never comes back to the package,
the package.
which is okay. I just,
Right, in the package, that's a draft set. If you want to search the set that has been updated, that's going to be under the December 20th meeting, and you're going to have to search that. So if you want to call me tomorrow, I'll tell you
right,
to
sure.
find it.
how to get at it.
Yeah, yeah, but the
I'm just wondering,
package went out, that's never going to change.
got it.
But if you go back to the minutes, the meeting where the minutes were actually from, the minutes on that meeting page should be the corrected ones.
That's correct, yes.
And they are clearly, because he just showed it to us.
I know yeah, I realize she's getting corrected. What I'm getting at is how does the public know they were correct?
So.
Or if I go and search today,
They would
Right.
talk to her office.
yeah,
They
They're
would
gonna be minutes, not the agenda.
So
okay.
what?
Because the
so
agenda
Ted-
package.
It's a separate attachment.
Yeah.
Never mind. I'll talk about this later. I'm
Well-
using up way too much of our time.
Well, no,
I'm
I
sorry,
haven't,
it's a new person, messing up.
it's an easy answer, Ted, because
Ted.
going forward, you're gonna have probably a new staff person doing clerical anyway, so. But it's an easy answer. You approved those minutes as amended. And that's out there. So anyone who looks at those minutes says, oh, they're amended. I need to go and find out what got amended.
Okay,
It's not, there's nowhere in the minutes where it says it's amended to take out the wall sign. Because that's
Right.
just, that's too intricate. That's just too much detail to
yeah,
try to,
yeah. I understand.
if that
Thank
helps.
you, Linda.
But if you're,
That
if you
helps.
want, call me tomorrow. I'll help you out.
Thank you so much. I
right,
appreciate you all.
welcome.
You do.
No
Really
problem.
do.
Anyone got a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I second that.
All in favor?
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, I.
Goodman abstain.
Brady, aye.
Good, Rich, aye.
I only abstain because I wasn't here, but I
Yeah.
don't imagine that matters.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can vote on minutes.
Any old business?
Yeah, so old business, you two weren't here. I've been talking to the State Historic Preservation Office, you guys know I do. But anyhow, there's a number of state programs for people that live in the historic district. For example, it's not even a tax break, but it's a tax refund, 30% of money they put into their homes during a calendar year, on certain repairs, painting, roofs, et cetera, et cetera. There's grants that people can apply for. So they offer free workshops to tell the residents of the historic district how they can get the tax breaks. So I put a motion forward that we have them come down and advertise one of these workshops. I was given permission to reach out to John Burt and get his permission. Peter was CC'd on the email. And his response is, sounds great. How many people do you think would attend? We could use the CR1 in the annex, would be large enough. Once those are locked down, I'll advertise on the town Facebook page and website. Happy holidays. So I think it's a great give back to the community, and with everybody's permission, I put a motion forward that we get a date for the workshop and advertise it.
I'll second. All in favor?
Do you want to put that motion together before you have a date? Or do you want to find out a date and then put the motion for that meeting to take
It's just a
place?
motion to have it.
Just to him
Easy as a habit, but it's just
for him to follow the next step.
once you're setting a date, I think that's really what.
Okay, because the motion that was approved was for me to only get permission, so I don't know if I need permission to now get the date.
Right, I thought it was more you were doing the investigation to find out what it would take to get the.
Yep, so there's no budget, it's not costing the town a cent.
Right,
We
right.
just tell them a day and a time, they can do Saturdays.
We're just endorsing the fact that they're gonna come, so
Yeah.
who cares what the
So-
days?
Okay,
Fortunately,
Can I just stick my 2 cents worth in here again? And I
Please.
apologize. I really try to be fly on the wall. When you're making motions, I'm going to use the word on the fly. I know they're not on the fly. They're something that you've thought through. But when you're making these motions in the minutes, it's hard to follow. And sometimes when there's discussion in the middle of the minutes, we don't exactly know really at the end result what you've said. It's a good idea to try to draft something so we have that to go by, for the future. That happened at the last meeting. There were a couple of minutes, a couple of motions. One was withdrawn, one followed through and was approved. And it is confusing. So
yeah,
anything,
both are mine, Linda, so from here on out, I will write out a quick
yeah,
draft. so
anything
that
you
it's
can put in writing
record.
is very helpful. Yeah, thanks so much.
From here on out, I'll do it, I apologize.
No, please don't.
This one, all you're making a motion for is to schedule this. Whatever it's called.
Right, so my understanding, if I make a motion to schedule it, then we have the date. John Burt just takes it from there and we move
Sure.
forward.
Okay.
So say it again, so
Let's say you're-
I can write it down.
My motion is to schedule a date with the State Historic Preservation Office for a workshop for the residents of the historic district to know what state programs are available to them.
I will second that. All in favor?
Got that, Ted?
I got it.
I think that's clarity. That's good.
No, I fully, I would just, for a discussion point of view, before we do a vote, I would strongly encourage you to do it in the spring or early summer, because we do have, what do they call it, the snowbirds that are away, and they might be someone who might benefit from that. They're retiring and making adjustments to their homes, so I'm fully supportive of it.
Point well taken, actually ship us said the same thing. They thought spring would be the most effective, so I second your point.
So, yeah, I support the motion.
Like the grant programs where there's a deadline for filing for a particular fiscal year or whatever,
Yes, there are.
they're competitive.
The grants are competitive, the tax.
Let's just vote on this quick. All in
Okay.
favor?
Aye.
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 Everyone in favor. All right, now you.
All right, so yeah, because at the library, we got one of those grants. It's a lot of work.
I understand the grants are a lot of work, but the tax rate is not.
Grant. This is not a grant.
All they're coming to do is just. speak and say,
workshop.
here
Oh, I
it is.
know,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying that, well, they'll probably make this fairly apparent that, I mean, we had to create an application that was about 2 inches thick for the library.
Yeah.
That-
If they're gonna come and say I could get a tax break that I wasn't aware of. Great.
Oh, some of it's just a tax break, but not necessarily
Grants.
money to do a renovation or something.
So my understanding, which stands to be changed, because I'm not 100%, I'm getting information on it too, is if you own a historic home that's on the state or that has to be in the historic district and either the state or national historic registry. There are certain repairs that preserve a house, like a roof, paint. Others more intricate stuff.
But all they're doing is to come and talk about. all
Yeah, they're gonna just say, hey, here's the program, here's how you do it. Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think, we hold our historic residents to a higher standard than the guy that's not in the historic district, so they can get a little money back for repairs they're doing, and
Sure.
why not?
Yeah.
It's a benefit to them.
Very good. Okay. Any other old business? Just the steps that I brought up for now. I mean, what's going on with that?
That's Tom.
Was there any decision on time continuing to do this work?
Yeah, we're gonna keep going.
Comments, anything? No.
I think we need to look into it.
Or any new business?
Yes, so this was the motion I withdrew last time. I put a motion forward that the town of Groton become a CLG, which is a certified local government. I withdrew it because Ted brought up you two weren't here and you guys are longstanding members. It would have been unfair. And we wanted more information. I did try and get this into the packet, which I wasn't timely enough. Is that correct?
Mhm.
So I made copies for everybody. It says what a CLG is, which Peter has a little knowledge on it too. I guess we actually are kind of sort of CLG already. We just didn't do the annual report, so it's very easy for us to become a CLG. The highlights and the reasons that I would like us to become a CLG is it gives us funding. Especially for the handbook we want to rewrite, they'll give us grant money for it, and they will pay for experts we need, which do not sit on this board. There's a few other things too. I give you the whole information. So I'm putting a motion.
Comes from the state, John?
Yes, we did. From Mary Dunn, who's the head of the program. So I would put a motion forward that we authorize the responsible party, which I was told by Peter is John Reiner, to fill out the final paperwork to make us a CLG.
It's, I'm looking through the past records. It looks like sporadically, 2013, we submitted an annual report. And the last one, and it was in 2019 for the 2017, 2018 year, we submitted a report. But it's not something that's been consistently filed every year.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and I'll
Who does the work? I guess is that the issue?
I'm going by what I found in the records, and it's from John Reiner. Jonathan Reiner is the one who did it in
Be
2000.
curious to know, like, is it because he just didn't do it for whatever reason, or is it because like there was a reason he
There's
didn't?
there's probably not a tickler file or something that says, hey, this is the time of year to get this done every year. And so it probably falls back on us not telling him that he's gonna get this squared away every year.
and if it's allowed, I will volunteer to do it to keep us on as long as I'm on this board, if I can. I don't know if I need to be town staff or not. If not, then I'll if we voted in, I'll take care of that.
I would think the director of planning and development has to.
Okay,
So, but if you guys want to put on the agenda to make note of the annual.
there you go.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, just to give us a reminder on that one. Cause I never even knew it was even there, so. I took over, this was still to Kevin at that point, so.
So the wording on this one is to just renew it or revive it more than.
I think it's one of those cases where if we've got our annual reports current, it'd be fine. So. I think
You're,
they-
because you're heading to a motion, right? I wanted to.
Right, so my motion would be to authorize the responsible party, which I understand to be John Reiner, to take whatever steps necessary to make us a CLG once again,
Yeah, so
or renew our CLG or reinstate or whatever. Sorry, when I know that's another one on the fly, like I said, next time they'll be written out.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Ferguson, I.
Keatsman, aye.
Goodman, aye.
Brady, aye.
Goodrich, aye.
Motion's carried. Anything else? Came with new business?
No, that's it.
This isn't business, but I thought I would share it anyway. I have a medical condition that is not contagious, so don't worry about the next.
Like you.
It requires a daily injection that I usually do around 8 o'clock, and it's nice if it's consistent. So I can push it, plus or minus a little time. But I wanted to let you guys know that because, depending on how the meeting's flowing, I may excuse myself. It only takes about 3 minutes. I could do it in my chair, but you guys might not like seeing take a needle in my stomach.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I think that's enough. I don't want to be any more.
Linda, I'm gonna make a
Any more
motion to
surprise?
that Ted can go
Whenever you like.
anytime he wants.
I second that motion.
Righty, please, Bill.
It's just an informational thing. I thought I'd get it out of the way now. New and it's starting rather than.
And we're running out of time. You got-
No, today's not the problem.
7 minutes.
Meetings, it might start to press on me a little bit, and I thought you guys might be going like, why, what's he,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah, no,
And I thought knowing the truth might be a little
helpful.
better than
Fair enough.
speculating, so.
Thank you, on a serious note.
I'm gonna live, don't worry about that.
That's good.
For a while, so.
I'm trying to think, is there anything else that's been outstanding?
I think that's it.
Oh, what are the guys with the driveway?
Oh, that's right.
Guy with the driveway.
That one is. He has the timeline to get the COA to get the driveway in place. It's a matter if you wanted to push to it. And that's what we're saying in the future. When you're making a motion to approve one of those, I would probably put a timeline stipulation in the motion.
Sure.
To give them a certain amount of time.
This one, though, you're gonna enforce the original.
That's where I'm at with Tom, so. Yeah, but I would say if you guys in the future would put an actual timeline on it.
Yeah.
That way it's noted on the COA when it's issued to them, so they know they have this timeline to get it squared away. At least to bring it up to the compliance part. To correct the part that's in
It's
violation.
too bad you couldn't make them correct it, but not issue the COA until it's corrected.
Right.
Yeah, that's not way to do it too.
Right.
Pretty straightforward. Fix it to this, and then we'll give you the COA.
But how are you gonna do that unless you have the COA to begin with?
Yeah.
A lot better
It's
than
kind of, yeah, it's cart before the horse. type of
But it's a
thing.
lot better to have them fix it the way you're telling them to fix it to,
Yeah,
or make the COA
Yeah.
contingent upon the repair.
right, something like that, yeah. I think it just could have been worded somehow in the
Yes.
motion.
Yeah.
A little bit better on that one.
I just,
So we had a defined timeline for it.
and you still, that house going up the hill, you still, their COA is expired, but no one cares.
Rachel?
No.
No, you know, I actually looking at that. So this is an interesting.
You've been making progress.
So yeah,
Number one.
the COA is issued. And you have find that COA is good for the 5 years to get your building permit out of the way. Once your building permit's in play, I think you're going through that coursework of exhausting your. If it's non-compliance.
The COA was 5 years to complete.
No, it's just COA is 5 years for you to get your permits in place.
Oh.
I don't,
Yeah,
might want to check that.
yeah, that's why I started checking into it. And I was like, that's the way it's actually written up that way. And I think that's where you're hoping that, okay, if somebody's extending it out that far, you're exhausting the other resources.
I don't want to do anything, guy. I just want to finish the project.
Yeah,
But at least he cleaned up the stuff on the street and no one's tripping.
yeah. He's one of those guys that every 180 days has us go out there to do something, so he's keeping it. You know, because you have 180 days to do something on the property, so he's making sure he keeps.
Yeah.
Because he's doing it on piecemealing it on his own time, I don't know.
Inside done?
A good chunk of it is, yeah, it's insulated out and I did the inspections instantly. Seamus is in charge of it now, so I don't know where he's at with the.
It's just like a fire pipe sticking out the side.
Talk to Seamus.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Just trying to give some friendly encouragement, considering how quickly his neighbor was able to complete his renovation.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he'd be willing to talk to us if that's what we want. Because when I read it, I got the feeling he had to get started, and he's clearly started.
Right.
Right.
He didn't really say that he had to finish, as long as he's still doing what he said he's.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's the way I'm interpreting it. So it's written. Which is the opposite way I used to think it was until I actually read it a little more
So
thorough.
why didn't Central Hall, they just didn't pull a permit for the carports? She just pulled the damn permit.
Yeah, they should have. They never did for the carport.
Oh.
So they did everything else, but this,
So that didn't matter, but.
yeah,
Yeah, the carport car guy came last.
No. But I mean, the COA expired.
Oh, gotcha.
But if he
Okay.
pulled the permit, then it didn't matter.
that's kind of what brought that whole process up again, to start really researching it a little bit more, how it's worded, and how to follow it. It's a 5-year expiration. If it's an actual expiration of the COA, or if it's an expiration, if you're doing contingent permits in place.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
progress is good, right, on that.
Hmm.
What he's doing.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that construction's
He-
invasive, but like construction that drags on for that long, like.
Yeah, it's ugly.
Unless you get all the outside stuff done and you're only on the inside. Kind of like Central Hall. I mean, they're just doing internal stuff over there, but the outside.
Yeah, that's not invasive.
Right, I said the outside's all done.
That's just a stupid way to build a building.
Yes.
But. I don't work for it. Anyways, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Here.
Just from curiosity, has there ever been